Hello, Suzanne.
Hello, William.
So what was courting and, may I say, sex like in the 1950s?
Much more fun, dating and all the rest of it. It was very interesting because young girls were, to the very last woman, virgins. Everybody was a virgin the day they got married, any evidence to the contrary notwithstanding. In my day, the gestation period of a first child was anywhere from 1 day to 9 months, and all subsequent children were 9-month gestation. So what that brought up was the very interesting thing is, where did people find a place that these things could happen? There were no beds in the 50s, everybody was living at home, so it was a matter of ingenuity, opportunity, and quite a bit of fun. I grew up in a city where one of the things that the young people did on a Saturday night would go for moonlight picnics. We had quite a few interesting town walks where you could go up and look to lookouts. People used to go up perhaps with 1 or 2 bottles of beer because people weren't drinking much, majorly I think because of the cost. So that was a great place for cuddles and kisses and snow on, and obviously sometimes a bit more.
And they didn't get caught?
No, the vigilantes, but in a group of people, virtually everybody would know what was going on. Public spaces were utilised, I think, much more subtly, and perhaps with a little bit more care and creativity than they are now.
So how have things changed now?
Well, I find it's interesting. For one thing, nobody admitted to being a sexual being when I was young, not at least until after you were married, and even then it wasn't part of any conversation. But today's young people are very much more sexual. I have great fun sitting around cafes because I'm invisible and I hear the kind of talk that the young people say. I had a lovely day one day with 2 young men sitting beside me talking about one of them having a new girlfriend. The second boy said to him, "How long have you been going out with her?" And he said, "Long enough not to see the matching bra and knickers anymore." And all this kind of fun. Another 2 young men sitting there, and one of their mates went past with this beautiful girl. She was absolutely gorgeous. Came in and joined them, and they all said, "Oh, isn't she great?" And they said, "Yeah, doesn't she put a stress on the old Y fronts?" So you hear all this sort of thing. My favourite eavesdropping was a beautiful young couple. The young man was saying to the girl, "Oh, I love that pretty set underwear you had on this morning." And she said to him, "I like yours better." And he looked at her in amazement and said, "Why?" And she said, "Yours twitches." So the world is very much more open and receptive than it was when I was
So
young.
what led to this change?
Sadly, I think a loss of femininity in girls.
Was that feminism?
No, I don't think it's necessarily the rise of women's lib. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's much more public, not acceptance of people's sexuality, but using it as a tool for marketing. And I think that it's been overblown in the marketing sense, and I think that would do it more than women's lib or feminine freedom.
So do you prefer those attitudes back in the 1950s?
It was more fun. I don't say I prefer the attitudes, but there was something about being a pretty girl, being a little bit fastidious, that appealed to the girls themselves and to the young men. And I think girls in lots of ways got treated better by men in general.
Is there a lack of respect then now?
I think so. When I was working during the 80s, if the young men in the office or anyone swore and they saw me go past, they'd say, "Oh, sorry, Suzanne." And the girls would say to me how nice it was that the men would do that. And they'd say, "Why?" And I'd say to them, "Do you ever hear me swear?"
Do you have any regrets about how attitudes have changed?
I'm regretful that the modern young women don't have the advantage to be regarded as something special. And I think that one of the lovely things about being a young woman in my day is that you were regarded as being something special if you were a girl.
What advice would you give to young people?
Have respect for yourself. Don't do anything you don't want to do, and don't do it just because other people are doing it.
You're very open about your attitudes. Are you as open as this, say, with your family and friends?
Yes, I am. I believe in being open. I think it's important that people don't have closed areas. I might think twice about saying the sorts of things to people I don't know, but certainly to my family.
But are you happy with life?
Very happy. Very happy indeed.
Anything you'd like to add?
No, just that as long as you're alive, keep enjoying it.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thanks, William.